Okay, today in the garage I want to talk about how are you storing your batteries or your battery. Here we have 3 batteries, obviously out of the vehicle. That's the first step. You should remove the battery from your vehicle if it's going to be sitting there a long time, especially if it's in extreme temperatures, extreme heat or extreme cold. Get that battery out of the vehicle and get it to a place that's got a little ideal, better temperatures, something, in the middle of the road, 60 degrees, 50 degrees, something better than the extremes anyway. So you've removed the battery and now you have it in your shop. Again, if you you remove the battery from the vehicle, you stick it in a cold shop or a super hot shop in the summertime, you're not doing yourself much of any favor. So get it someplace, better. Here I have it up on a workbench, and it's visible. I walk past them every day, and you can inspect them, make sure it's safe, and you're going to make sure they're safe because you're going to put a battery tender or a battery charger on them. Actually, a battery maintainer or a battery tender. It's not a charger. It does charge, but it's not your typical charger. It monitors the batteries, and it charges only as necessary at very low levels. So if you have a battery that's highly depleted, it's really going to take an awful long time for this to bring it up to perfect levels, and it's really not the proper tool for that, but it can do it, but it's going to take an awful long time. So I have 3 batteries here, and I have one battery tender, and you're like wondering, how's that going to work? Well, all I do is rotate them. Instead of buying an expensive unit like this that has several different leads to hook up to all the batteries, that's going to cost me between $100 and $200, I simply take this more inexpensive single battery unit and alternate it from one battery to the next battery to the next battery every 4 to 5 days. And that's plenty. A battery can survive that, especially if you're keeping it in a more neutral environment, meaning not extreme colds, not extreme heat, and it works out great, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. And it keeps the health of the battery at its optimum. It really works well. And they usually have some lights on them. This one has 3 lights. Green means the battery's in good health and it's up to charge. It has a middle of the line road light that's usually yellow or orange, meaning it's kind of trying to get there, but it's not quite there yet. And red means it's below its proper charge, and it's going to take some time to get there, and if that red light never goes out, you've got a bad battery. So this is a smart charger, sometimes called a smart charger, but I like to see them referred to as a battery tender or a battery maintainer. They're well worth the price if you have a battery and you want it to last. And speaking of lasting, this Optimum battery here, which this brand I highly recommend, and I'm not a big one for endorsing brands, but Optimum batteries are awesome. This battery is 10 years old. I had it from day one, and all I did was use this tool on it, and this was plugged into it 6 months out of the year because where I live, the car that goes out on the road doesn't see salt and snow and bad weather, so I wanted to take care of it. But I also do that for all my batteries, and I thought it was a good technique, a good trick that you guys should know. Remember, keep an eye on your batteries, look at them every day, every other day, make sure they're not leaking any gases, any liquids. If you see anything leaking or weeping, it's a bad battery. You need to get that out of there and disposed of. It's a hazard. It's a health hazard. It's a fire hazard, and you need to get rid of those. So you need to make sure that you inspect your batteries, and that's why I like to keep them close to your normal routine, your normal route that you take every day. But again, if you keep these out in the shop, and your shop is going to go down to 0 degrees, or your shop, you're going to turn off the air conditioning, and it's going to go up to 90 or 100, your battery is going to go bad anyway. So just taking it on the car isn't enough. You need to put a battery tender on there, and if you're taking the time to remove your battery because you want it to last, then you need to take the next step and invest in a battery tender. They're not that expensive, and look around. Do some, check some reviews, and it'll save you a lot of money on batteries. And as I said, this Optima battery here is 10 years old. I've heard of them going 20. They do cost a little bit more, but the Delco batteries are coming up in price, and it's a hassle to keep replacing batteries. So do some of these things and it'll help. But take a look at the Optima batteries if you need a battery. So that's it from the garage today.